Hi, I'm Tricia Morris from Club Scrap, and I just love this 8x8 album project from Lotus Pond. Let's make it together. Now this is our 8x8 album project. It was included in the Lotus Pond Club Scrap kit, and it's so cool. You got the whole entire album, not only the page protectors and the outer covers, but also all the pages and formulas you need to create the inside pages as well. Isn't that awesome? So 8x8 album, what we're gonna do is start by making the outer covers first. So let's get going on that. Go into your kit and find the longer, narrower pieces. These are the outside spine covers of your book. And if we just bring the book back in here and take a look, it's this piece or this element of the album. All right, so some pre-measuring. We need to get some guidelines in place. So I'm taking a grid ruler and measuring 1 inch up from the bottom of the spine paper. I have it vertically in front of me. And we also need another guideline, 1.5 inches from the left edge. So I'm doing this facing, so it's as if it was facing you. So 1 inch up from the bottom, 1.5 inches up from the left edge, and then you'll do that for the other spine piece as well. What we do for the front, we do for the back. All right, then you'll find the spine pieces, and this is a really heavyweight paper. It's a beautiful paper where it's going to be hidden inside the spine of our book. And so with some of our Club Scrap book binding glue, hopefully you have a bottle of this on hand at home. And I go through foam brushes pretty quickly. If you wash them after each use, however, you can make them stretch a little further. Notice I'm holding this little thin, narrow piece of paper up off of my work surface. And I remind students of this regularly until it becomes a habit. It's hard to remember to do that. Just always keep this, whatever you're working on with glue, if possible, off of your work surface. Once I have a nice coat of glue, I'm going to take this piece and rest it along that 1 inch guideline at the bottom of my spine cover, flush with the left edge. So that bookbinding glue dries quickly. Just place it on there. Make sure it's flush with the edge, and notice there will be a gap between the spine piece and the line that we made earlier. That's going to come into play in a little bit. Then you repeat that for the other cover. Next, find your printed covers, and these are a little bit larger. There's also an 8x8 inch square version of this print in your kit. Make sure you grab the covers, which are slightly oblong, and place them horizontally in front of you, right side up. The print does have an orientation, so you just want to make sure it's facing up. If you have any doubts, there's a cute little frog in the lower right corner of the print. So facing right side up in front of you, take both prints and set them side by side. Right here, let's just call that the gutter, all right? So take your ruler and let's make a guideline. This will be for gluing a little bit later. 2 3/4 inch from the inside edge, or from the gutter. So I'll mark this probably a little bit more bolder than I would mark it if I was doing this at home. I just want you to be able to see. All right, there's one guideline. And then going over to the other cover, I'm repeating the same thing. Notice I'm marking it from the inside edge. Why am I going to this trouble? It's because the print has the right side up, and we want to make sure we assemble it accordingly. So if you'll just think ahead with me for a moment, this piece will be the front cover, and the other piece we marked will be the back cover. So hopefully these guidelines will help us ensure that we assemble it correctly. Back to our other pieces here. I'm just going to take one of them and one of my marked covers. Within that 2 3/4 inch space, I'll apply some glue. And here's the trick once again, holding it off the work surface. Luckily the paper is nice and firm. I'll bring my brush along the pre-marked line and then fan to the outer edge. And then using that guideline I marked just a moment ago on my spine cover, I'll be able to place this paper face down and have it line up. Well, hypothetically, it'll be perfect. Okay, so bringing this glued area down onto the spine cover, checking for alignment here at the bottom edge, checking for alignment along the mark I'd made making sure everything's level. And once I'm happy, I'll push it down and turn it over. And here we're all lined up on our cover. Okay, then you'll find your other marked cover piece. Brush glue within the area that you marked with your ruler and pencil, and then attach this one to the other outer spine cover. All right, once you have both cover papers attached, you still have this long spine piece that extends beyond the top and bottom edges of your cover. So simply wrap that around, and because you're just working with a regular cover stock paper, what you do for one, you'll do for the other. Just flip up those 1-inch tabs, and you probably have enough glue in your brush already to glue down some of the 1-inch tabs. And if you have to add glue, just don't go crazy, because we don't like it when we have too much glue. It's just really hard to deal with. So glue down all 4 of those little 1-inch tabs. Next, we have the inside spine covers, and that will just create a nice finished look for us right here. So we'll apply glue to one side of the spine cover, place it on top, centering it from top to bottom. There'll be a little bit of a reveal there, and then flush with the edge where your spine is. So I'm just gonna, it should all line up perfectly in width. Again, when you apply your glue, just keep your project off of your work surface. Okay, so hidden in here, now you've got your inside spine cover. There's the spot between where your spine is and the cover is, and there's a little gap in between. What we need to do is find that spot. And I just kind of felt for it a little bit, and now I'm taking the tip of my finger and just pushing the paper together there so I can see, and I think you can see too, where that margin lands. And then once you have that sort of determined, you can carefully and gently bring that cover over, or that spine over, so because this is how your book will be assembled. And then you'll do the same thing on the other cover. Just find that gap and then carefully fold it over. You see how easy this is? I just love this project. Also, to add a nice finishing touch, we can round our corners. This is a heavier cover stock, but you should still be able to successfully punch. I'm using a tonic corner punch. It's one of their new corner punches, and it has 2 options. So if you do happen to be using this corner punch, you want to make sure that you use the same size corner each time. With all of your corners punched, your covers are basically done being assembled. Awesome, isn't it? Then, taking a page protector, I've got the top open here, orientated that way, and I'm laying this on my back cover, and I'll just turn this a little bit so that I can sort of temporarily place the spine of my page protector over the spine of the book cover. And there is like a stitched area right here where your pocket begins, and I'm just making sure that that is extending beyond the edge of my cover. That way the album will open and close easily. And so now I will mark the position of the outer holes of my cover, of my page protector, onto the spine of the cover with a pencil. And once I take that away, I'll bring in my Crop-A-Dile and punch the holes into this cover. I want to make a duplicate of this, of what I just did, so I'll marry up the 2 spines side by side. So I have my front and my back cover here, and just mark, transfer the location of those holes to the front cover, and then punch them. Next, I'll take the mat board spacers and center them onto the spine right over the punched holes, centered from top to bottom. And then carefully leaving the spine right where it is, I'll mark on the other side to transfer those punched holes once again. And then do that for the other cover as well. Guess what? Now that our spacers are punched, our cover is punched, we're ready to assemble. This is so great. So I'll take the base of the hardware here, the screw post, And you may need to, because of the size of the crocodile punch versus the size of the screw post, you may need to burnish out those holes, make them a little bit larger with the tip of a pencil or something, just to be able to get this in. Okay, so now I've entered from the spine here, so that now I can place it with the hardware facing up, and then I'll come in with my first mat board spacer. And you won't be able to see these. That's why we haven't done anything special to them. Also speeds the project along a little bit. Then we have a half a dozen page protectors that we will then place on top of our screw posts. Okay, now with the page protectors in, next layer will be another spacer. And just as a tip, when I punched the holes in my spacer, I kind of kept track of which cover it belonged to and which orientation I punched it, because it may vary. Then coming back now with my final cover piece, just snap all that into place and add your hardware here. Of course, there's room for expansion in this particular album. There's nothing to keep you from adding another half dozen page protectors. Okay, now lucky you, we've also included a half a dozen 12 by 12 papers and then another version of the outer cover print so that you can do a mini ALSB to fill the inside of your book. So let's do that as well. All right, here we have the 12 by 12s that came in the kit, and we're going to cut all of them exactly the same way. So this is not difficult, even if you're brand new to this style of scrapbooking. And this is great if you're giving this as a gift album, because once you do this cutting and assembling, you just slide them into the pages and let the recipient add the pictures. All right, my first cut will be at 8 inches on the 12 by 12. Then I'm going to rotate this, and guess what? We're cutting it at 8 inches. This will give us the base of each of our pages. Now there are 6 page protectors in there. You've got 6 12 by 12s. What that means is we'll be using the front and back side of each of these papers, but it's 80-pound cover stock, so it's plenty durable for your needs. Now we have this other long strip. It's a 4 by 12, and this is the beauty of the mathematically superior 12 by 12. I'll cut this horizontally at 6 inches. That gives me 2 4 by 6s. You'll do that for all of those 12 by 12 papers, and what that will end up giving you is a whole series of photo mats, your base page, and a border strip that can be trimmed any way you like. You can narrow down the pieces, you can make square photo mats out of them, whatever you wish. So then when you take all the different colors of all the papers, when they're in these sizes, they'll all interchange and then create the contents for the inside of your album. Also, with our 8.5 by 11 print, we can do some cool stuff here. So let me show you how I'll suggest you can cut it, but you cut it any way you wish. Placing it into the trimmer, we'll make a couple of 1/2 inch paper ribbons. So cutting at 7.5 and 7. Then how about some 1 inch strips? These will be nice border strips for your pages. 6, 5, 4, and we could stop there if we wanted to, but I think I'll go, let's see, I'm going to 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. All the way down to 2 inches. So we have all these 1 inch strips now and 2 1/2 inch strips. Then take the 2 by 8 that's left, turn it horizontally, and cut at 6, 4, and 2. Once you've done that, you've got all kinds of elements that are printed and pretty that can be added to your other papers that you've trimmed down to 8 by 8. So what I want you to do is just kind of let yourself go and be creative a little bit. But if you get stuck and you really want to know exactly how I finished my album, you're going to have to go visit my blog, and I'll show you all the finished pages, all assembled. Okay? I hope you've loved this project. I certainly love it. I can't wait to make more. These are going to be wonderful gifts for throughout the year. We'll see you next time.